I already know a lot of fools are gonna be showing up expecting me to defend Alexa Grasso because you're racist. But that's not the case right now. I'm not into that whole reverse racism type of thing where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you're like me? I root for you. Oh, you come from the same place? I root for you. Oh, you speak Spanish? I root for you. Even though I don't speak Spanish, you know what I'm saying. And look, I'm gonna be open about it. I'm one of those no sabo kids. But even coming from, this is even more impactful. Coming from a no sabo kid. I don't know if you guys watched the press fight post conference. Who was that dude that was translating for Alexa Grasso? It sounded like Tony Ferguson was up there trying to translate for Alexa Grasso.
As I said, the thing that I'm the proudest is what I said. Everything that I promised, I was able to deliver. I mean, you do everything. The few things that few people will do.
No matter where or who you are with or where you are going.
Oh, that's one. We're not trying. Okay, so let's go with it.
But anyway, I'm not here to defend her. I called it in the last fight against all odds, just like I said Sean O'Malley was gonna win. Just like I said, Sean Strickland was gonna win. I said Alexa Grasso was gonna win in the last fight. And I'm not gonna go dig up the clip right now. I don't know when it was. I said it 3, 4, 5, 6 videos ago. If you want to find it, go watch all my most recent videos and you'll see me talking about it. But this time, I didn't have a lady in the race. I was too busy celebrating my Sean Strickland victory. I was kind of taking the night off, you know? So I don't think that Alexa Grasso is the one to blame in this situation. I know a lot of people are mad at her right now and they're saying, look at her face. When I was watching the post-fight press conference, a lot of fools were like, look at her face. Look at her face is beat up. I want you to look at some faces right here, right now. And I'm gonna show you a little list right now of different individuals. And they're gonna look all beaten down and bloody. They're gonna look like, oh, they lost their fight. They messed up, they got caught. No, these people won. These busted up looking people have won fights. They've won in life. But people kept looking at Alexa Grasso's face and they were like, oh, she looks all beat up. She looks messed up. That tells you the whole story right there. Hey, Valentina didn't look so great herself. And I'm glad that I didn't forget to tell you this right now. Sometimes I make videos and I forget to tell you something. And then after it's uploaded, I'm like, that was like the one important thing that I wanted to talk about in the last video. Should I do it again? I'm like, chale, it's already too late. Like, for example, one of the things that I wanted to talk about in the last video where I was talking about Adesanya and Sean Strickland, one of the things that I wanted to address, and now as I'm saying it, I'm being a little bit verbose intentionally because I forgot the point that I was gonna make. Now that I'm here right now in a position where I could address it and revisit it, I'm actually forgetting what it was all over again. So now I'm trying to just kill time until it comes back to me. It might seem unimportant now, but it was just one little point that I wanted to make about Sean Strickland. This doesn't belong in this video. I know this, but I'm just gonna say it real quick. Sean Strickland is like the mankind. He's like the mankind of the UFC. He's like that real, relatable, down to earth, perennial underdog. Like he's like the dude that all of us, because he broke his belt, he put tape on it. He's literally mankind. That's like the hardcore bout. Remember that one that was all busted up and it had the tape and everything on it? That's all I wanted to say. But I think it's very important for you to know that the faces that I chose to put right here, those very specific faces, I chose them for a reason. Because in all of those fights where those dudes look all messed up like they were the losers, they were the winners. And also on top of that, the people that they beat looked way better than them. Their faces looked like they hadn't even been in a fight yet. And if they did, they had a little tiny little cut right here, a tiny little bruise, but like nothing compared to the people that won. So I just want to make that point real quick to people that were going on and on and on. Look at the face, look at the face, look at her face. That's all you need to know. Ha ha ha, look at her. She's delusional. Look in the mirror. It doesn't mean anything. And people were focusing on that so much. It got to the point where in the chat, people were saying stupid stuff like, oh, she's got a face that only Mike Bow could love. Nobody was saying that. I made that up right now. But when I say it out loud, it sounds like a dad joke. I'm going to be honest, though. I did see a joke that was out there in the chat that I did not come up with. I'm not going to be a joke thief. I'm going to give credit. Well, I'm going to give like anonymous credit because I don't know who said it, because you know how it skips like crazy. That supposedly they were calling that fool Mike Taco Bow. I thought that was hilarious. Like, however unfortunate of a situation this whole thing seems to feel like, no matter what side you're on, I think that's like the best like it's a blessing in disguise. Like that's the best takeaway from the whole shenanigans. Like that's a new Twitter username right there. Like whoever's able to hop on it first, Mike Taco Bell, you're golden. But I don't think that you can hold it against Alexa Grasso for being like, you know, for keeping the belt and being mad at her just because of the fact that she still has the belt, for being mad at her for saying, yeah, I did a good job. I won the fight. And DC's like, but it was a draw. But I don't think you can hold it against her for being so self-assured and so confident in herself. That's what a fighter needs to be like. I don't think you can hold it against Mike Bow. A lot of fools are like, hey, everyone was saying that Saul D'Amato is the worst MMA judge, and Mike Taco Bell was like, hold my scorecard. I don't think you can hold it against Grasso. I don't think you can hold it against Mike Bow. I don't even think you can hold it against Valentina for being like, all of you made her win just because you're all Mexicans. I will kill you. I think the problem is one of those things where there's not it's like a faceless type of entity situation. Like you can't say it was you or you need to resign, you need to step down, you're in trouble, you need to speak up on this. It's like this thing where everyone's just gonna, I don't know, because it's not a person. It's the scoring. It's the UFC score, and that's just the way that it's gonna go down until something changes. You live by the scoring and you die by the scoring. Whoever it is that's coming together in that ultimate United Nations type of, like, I don't know, those people with the money up at the top. I don't know if it's the Furtadas or if it's Walt Disney or if it's Vince McMahon. Like, they're getting so many people involved. They're making it harder and harder to point the finger because there's so many players. And I actually think that that's intentional because they're trying to make it as vague as possible. That's the way the scoring is, the way that it is, because that way you can manipulate it. When it's not more black and white, it's easier to play around in that gray area. I actually screenshotted something right here that I wanted to read to you. I came across an article and it said this about 10-8 scoring. The scoring criteria for judges to hand out a 10-8 round has changed in recent years. Here's the current verbiage adopted by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And I quote, in determining whether to score a round as a 10-8 round, a judge shall evaluate. Right there, you're in trouble. By the way, all of us are judges. All of us with eyeballs watching the thing, we all take it upon ourselves to be judges. Right then and there, it becomes subjective. It's not a black and white thing. It's all a bunch of different opinions. In determining whether to score a round as a 10-8 round, a judge shall evaluate the 3 factors of impact, dominance, and duration. If the judge assesses that 2 of the 3 factors are present, the judge shall seriously consider whether to score the round as a 10-8 round. There only has to be 2 of them. If the judge assesses that 2 of the 3 are present, he shall seriously consider whether to score the round as a 10-8 round. It's his discretion. If all 3 factors are present, the judge shall score it as a 10-8 round. Now, I was watching a video, I think it was Michael Bisping, and he was going on and on about how he thought Valentina got it because, like, she was playing that Adesanya type of game in the 5th round. And I'm going to start it right there. I'm not going to talk about rounds 1 through 4 because it seemed to be unanimous with the commentators, with the people tweeting on screen, with the people online. Everybody, it seemed like, was saying it was 2-2, 2-2. And even if there was like a inconsistency here and there, the overall consensus was 2-2. So I'm just gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that overall winning narrative, and I'm gonna just talk about the 5th. In the 5th round, it looked like Grasso was like a step behind, and Valentina was playing the Adesanya game, and she was sticking and moving, and that's fine. That's the truth. When I was watching Bisping's video, he said something about back in the day, the understanding was you had to basically like kill that fool. Like, it had to be unbelievably apparent to anyone that has any sense whatsoever that this one person won the round, and that's why it's a 10-8. That's not the case anymore. All you have to have is 2 of these 3 things, and you're like, hold up, they say seriously, this is my seriously considered. All they gotta do is go, and then they decide, and then that's it. Then they write it down. That's all they have to work with. So when you look at round 5, Valentina was giving her the Adesanya the first 3.5, 4 minutes or so, right? Sticking and moving, and she looked faster. And Grasso was a step behind, and Valentina was landing, but it was stick and move, stick and move. She didn't get knocked down. Grasso didn't get knocked down like how she had knocked Valentina down. And then Valentina put herself in a bad position. Grasso took the back, and the way that she was teeing off on her, And the way that she was looking for that submission, the way that she had Valentina in trouble, I think that the judge, Mike Taco Bell, I think that he saw impact, and I think he saw dominance, and I think that he saw so much so that it was enough for the round as a whole. Maybe if you want to talk about duration, you could say, oh, well, Valentina seemed like she had that duration because she was in control for most of the round with that stick and move game. Well, they don't win fights like that anymore. That's the thing that's already been established, the whole control time thing. And I don't even know why duration is one of the three if they're not even counting that anymore. But either way, it's a moot point. It doesn't matter at all because you got two more things that outweigh the one thing. You got impact and you got dominance. When you take the part where Valentina was teeing off, you take that whole 4 minutes if you want to. I know it sounds impressive because it's 4 minutes, but you compare that to like the 1 minute, the 1.5 minute, where Grasso was in charge, the dominance doesn't compare. And I know Valentina was landing here and there when she was sticking and moving, but the impact didn't compare to what Grasso was landing. You might not like it, but like I said, you live by the scoring, you die by the scoring. I want to point out that even the smartest man in MMA, Sir Dominic Cruz, he said in the 5th round when they were right there, and Grasso was dominating and she had it wrapped up, Dominic Cruz, he was right there commentating. He had a front row seat. And he said, you could go back and watch the 5th round if you want. He said, if Grasso holds this, if she can hold on to this till the end of the round, she gets the round. And she did. She held on to it to the very end. You could just see Valentina. Valentina looked like she had just downed the whole bottle of Valentina. You could see her looking at the clock. And that was it. And again, if you don't like it, it has nothing to do with any of the people involved. It's the scoring. The way that UFC scoring is so dumb. It's scored like volleyball. Have you ever been subjected to the game of volleyball? It's like you watch a volleyball game, but there's like 3 games in the game. And then sometimes there's like 5 games in one game. You're like, hold up, is this one game? Or is this 5 games? And they're like, no, it's one game. And I'm like, hold up. But is it one? I'm not gonna subject you to that right now. But you know where I'm going with this. It doesn't make any sense. And the way UFC fights are scored, a championship fight with 5 rounds, the way it's scored is like 5 mini fights. It's the dumbest type. It's the most like anti-fight type of scoring possible. You should score the entire thing. Personally, I don't believe in rounds. Oh, well, what about the fighter's safety? Hey, fool, if they're concerned about their safety, probably don't be a fighter. That's like when people go to McDonald's and they're like, wait, but what about the nutritional value of this? Let me see your menu. What about, if you're trying to eat healthy, don't go to McDonald's. So I'm not someone that believes in rounds, but okay, we got rounds. Okay, let me work with that. Score it as a whole fight. As a whole, don't do little individual like 5 fights, because think about it this way, for anybody that's holding on to any type of confusion right here, let me make something very plain to you. Alexa Grasso not only had more total strikes over the entirety of the fight, she had more significant strikes as well. Just in case anyone's like, oh, it just came down to the 5th, and it just keep that in mind as well. And I know that technically because of the rule set, it doesn't matter, because technically Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko fought 5 times the other night. But just so you know, both strikes in general and significant strikes, Grasso dominated. And there was something that I thought of that's very interesting about Mike Taco Bell. Very interesting. I was wondering if he's kind of like a self-loathing judge, you know, like he knows like the judges are trash, the judges are garbage, they're dirty, they're with WWE now, it's all fake, it's all rigged. I wonder if he's like, maybe he's like the best judge, you know, maybe he's like a decent-hearted judge, and he's like, I know what's gonna happen. I know, and we're in Nevada on one. I know what's gonna happen. And like maybe he made a bad decision for the greater good. I was thinking, I wonder if he made that score knowing, considering everything that Grasso won and that she should win, and according to the new scoring and the rule set and everything, she should win, and blah 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 blah. And he knows that he probably can't trust Sal D'Amato because, you know, he's breathing and he's heard of Sal D'Amato. And then the other fool that's not even memorable, he needs to mess up more, so we'll start learning who he is. And then like he's like, I have to make this sacrifice. I have to put my neck on the line and become a meme in the community. I have to do this bad thing so that the good thing could happen, because he knew she was supposed to win, but that it would be real tricky and real sketchy because of the subjectivity, and that Valentina might have ended up getting it. So I think that maybe he might be the hero of this story. Valentina was very upset, and she's like, the only reason this happened is because all you dirty Mexicans and stuff like that. And she was very upset. So I think, look. By the way, in case you forgot, I used to like roll hard with Valentina. I was always rooting for her. She got a little bit annoying. She got a little bit cocky recently. And then not only that, who cares about how cocky she is? I just simply knew that Grasso was going to win. It wasn't like a favoritism thing. I knew Grasso was going to win. I called it. She won, whatever. Let's not make a big deal about it. That's not what this video is about right now. But just to be fair, because I think, you know, because of her reign and whatnot, and then she got ripped off by Nunes and stuff, there's just a lot of things to her story. I think in all fairness, she's like, this only happened because it's in Mexico. I think let's have the trilogy, if they go that route, or whenever it happens, let's have it where she lives. She lives in Kyrgyzstan, and I just realized that. I promise you, I thought she was Polish all these years. I had no idea, and I don't feel bad about that, because she speaks like 10 different languages, and honestly, she acts kind of Mexican. Don't you think she has like this quality about her, like her mannerisms and the way she talks? She kind of seems like of the Hispanic persuasion. I don't know why. I've always kind of felt that way, but I thought she was Polish. But apparently, I was like, what the heck is Kyrgyzstan? I looked it up, and it's Asian. It's Asian. All these different languages, all these different looks and influences and stuff. She talks about this different type of exotic dancing and all this stuff we know about Valentina. And she's Asian. I had no idea. And all this going on with Arasani and everything. And I find out last night when I was getting some notes together for this video, Valentina is Chinese.